Hey, it's Sue. I am thrilled that you want to learn more about how to read Lenormand cards. They are my absolute favorite intuitive tool to find the answers that I seek. All of the answers are right there in the cards. You just need to learn how to interpret your spirit symbols that are on each card. So today we're going to just look at the basic uh, spirit symbols for you for each card. And we're going to start with the book that I love, The Essential Lenormand by Rana George. It has absolutely everything in it that you need. So each and every card has an explanation, and then it starts talking about, the different things, the future, if it was a person, work, love, health, body, and spirit, if it's related to money or timing or advice or action. And then she gives a little personal story about each card. And then she does some examples. So it's fabulous. You cannot learn how to do this without having something like this in your toolkit. The next thing is I put together some Lenormand combinations from the book, and I put mine in a book form, but you'll be able to go online and download this PDF later. But first, you're going to work on your combinations. On these pages are combinations that I have put together for each one. So then I want to talk about the card decks I like to use. So the one I learned on was the Blue Owl that you can buy on Amazon. They're not expensive. Mine are grimy because I've used them so much. They're full of mojo. My next deck of cards that I absolutely love is the Dreaming Way Lenormand. And I got those on Amazon as well. The colors on these cards and the artwork is quite beautiful and very contemporary and easy to read. So I will be using these exclusively, but there are tons of decks. You pick one that speaks to you. So now I'm going to pull up my presentation here. It's simple symbols. All right, so first I'm going to say something about the picture here. So this is an actual reading that I did for myself, and it was looking at my business in different ways. So the top row had something to do with one part of my business, the middle row was about another part of my business, but the bottom row was about whether or not I should add mediumship to my toolkit. I had studied it before, found it fascinating, kind of doubted myself, so I was having struggles with doing it. But anyway, so the reading reads, I'm just going to tell you this real quick because we haven't gone through what each symbol means. But so the woman was me. The tower usually represents a job or work. It could also represent a large multi-level organization. And then the birds generally means gossip. But for me, it's two people talking, whether it's gossip or not. I also do life coaching, so that's usually my life coaching card. So this reads, when you go across a level of 3, the woman's work involves talking. So I then asked, what kind of talking? And I pulled a support card and I got the coffin. So talking to dead people. Can't make this stuff up. So anyway, we're going to go through the simple symbols because these symbols could mean something totally different for you. And we're going to start connecting to your intuition. All right, so first off, what are Lenormand cards? So they're named after Mademoiselle Lenormand. She is a French professional fortune teller of considerable fame who lived during Napoleon's era. She is considered to be the greatest cartomancer of all time, highly influential during the wave of French cartomancy that began in the 18th century. She didn't create these cards, but became famous for using them to read for her clients. It's only 36 cards, pretty simple, very easy to read, fairly concrete, literal meanings, and it's known as Petite Lenormand. So as with all fortune-telling vehicles, these are only to be used for fun and as a form of entertainment. They're not to rule our lives. We're all born with free will that we need to exercise when making daily decisions. But it's sure fun to pull a card every day. 2 cards usually. So why Lenormand cards? So for me, they're very straightforward. Each symbol represents an object, a person, an idea, and that it speaks directly to us. We use our own personal spirit or symbol vocabulary to tell the story that shows up in the cards, because that's all this is telling a story based on what shows up in the cards. So there's only 36 cards, and they're anchored in simplicity, making the foundation work to prepare to read the cards easy to grasp. And the deck is small, like a deck of cards, and very easy to handle. So the benefits of reading Lenormand. So when you're working with Lenormand cards, it'll strengthen your connection to spirit and to your intuition. They're being so easy to read, they'll strengthen your confidence in your reading skills. Very quickly, you'll be able to read cards. They can show you the direction that you're heading in any situation. What they do is they show you the energy. If you don't change the course you're on, this is probably where you will end up. So if you stay that course, that's where you'll be, or you can decide to make some changes. The cards serve as a messenger from your higher consciousness, because all the answers you seek are already inside you, but there's something blocking you from seeing those answers easily. It could be a story from your past, could be anxiety, could be anything that's blocking it, but the message is already there, the answer, and the cards help you go in and get it. They're eerily accurate and can give glimpses of your future, helping you to prepare and manage your life. So I love these cards. Alrighty, so my resources, I've already told you, The Essential Lenormand by Rana George. Card decks, I love the Blue Owl and the Dreaming Way, but again, there's tons, and all 3 of these things are available on Amazon. So I've also studied under a very talented teacher here in St. Louis, where I live, building my reading skills. And I have been using these skills since 2017 to read for the public. So I want you to, as we study this and move forward, choose what speaks to you and then leave the rest. This is a skill set that you will be able to build on year after year after year, but you only have to start at square one. So some decks come with extra cards. I want to point that out. They might have more than one man card, more than one woman card. Some of them have other ones that are just different. So you only need to work with 36. You pick the ones you want. I have another deck here. It's the Celtic Lenormand, and it has multiple people. And I also have a deck that has like a bonus card. I don't know what the heck you do with that. But anyway, we're going to stick to the Dreaming Way Lenormand or the Blue Owl. So pick what works for you. So how are we going to proceed? We're going to move through each one of the 36 cards. We're going to assign a 1-word symbol name for you, what it means for you, what it describes for you. You're going to build your symbol vocabulary. This is the foundation for reading cards. And there are no set rules, and practice is key to your experience. So there is a handout for this, and it's below the video. So I want you to pause the video and download the paperwork. It's called Spirit Vocabulary 101. It's a PDF. And so it's big, so make sure you have some paper in the computer. So go ahead and pause and print that off. All right, so we are going to start right now with the very first card, and that is the rider. You can see it there on the other screen too. So what does a person on a horse riding into town mean to you? Here's the Blue Owl. This is more old-fashioned, but this is a man. He looks actually he looks colonial, revolutionary, and he's riding into town. So who do you know from the Revolutionary War who rode into town? For me, it's Paul Revere, and not the musician, the man who rode into town with a message that the British were coming. So The rider for me is a messenger. So he's riding into town with a message. So what does it mean to you? If you had to assign that, maybe you love horses, or maybe the horse is your spirit animal. Whatever this means to you, I want you to write it on your form. Okay, so the next card is the clover. All right, pretty clover. And then we have the 3-leaf clover in the blue owl. Very basic. So what do you think of when you think of a 3-leaf clover? 4-leaf clover, more so, but this is a 3-leaf clover. So for me, that means luck, but it might mean something different for you. So I want you to give it a 1-word meaning. All right, the next card is the ship. The ship. Here it is in the blue owl. The ship. So what does a ship mean for you? Could mean vacation, could mean just water. For me, when I think of ship, I think of journey. So for me, the ship is about a journey. Alrighty, so now we're going to move on to the next card. See how easy this is? The house. What does house mean for you? So we've got the Dreaming Way Lenormand, very cute little house, or the very traditional house from the Blue Owl. What does a house mean for you? So for me, it can mean family. It also means it's 4 walls, which is my foundation. Those are the 2 words that come up for me. But pick one that works for you. All right, and at any time, if you need to pause to put some thought into this, please do so. So the next is the tree. There's a big bushy tree, or we have the more traditional tree. So what does the tree mean for you? It has meaning so many different ways. Some people think of it as spirituality. I think of it, besides spirituality, I think of it as something that's living and growing, and it's very easy to see when you look at the tree out the window if it's alive or not. So it represents to me health that I can actually see. So I'm going to write in health, but it also for me is a spiritual connection. So put in what it means for you. All right, the next card, clouds. We've got our dreaming way and we have our more traditional clouds. Now, when you get in deeper into reading the cards, one of the things to note is which way the clouds are when it's next to another card. So that's important, but that's another lesson. I just wanted to point that out. So think about things being cloudy. So it could mean weather. It could also mean that you're not able to see clearly. So think of fog. That's just clouds that are close to the ground. So on a cloudy day, it's hard to see. So I would say, I'm going to say hard to see. And I'm also going to say confusion. That's what I feel when I'm unable to see clearly. So you put in what works for you. All right. The next card is the snake. Now I have to say, some of these cards are good and some of these cards are bad. I tend to read everything good because I just want to have that mindset of thinking of things in a positive manner, because I want to put that vibration out into the universe and bring good into my life versus evil. But it also depends on what else shows up around the cards. So we've got our Dreaming Way Lenormand, and we have a more sinister looking blue owl, that coiled up snake. So what do you think of when you think of a snake? I gotta tell you a funny story. I was going whitewater rafting once back in the 80s in Oregon, and my sister and I were walking to go find a place to go to the bathroom, and all of a sudden we come upon this giant rattlesnake in the road, all coiled up. So what do? I do something really brilliant. I throw a rock at it. Well, I got a great aim, bounced it right off that snake's head. But let me tell you, that snake came out vertical about 7 feet. You've never seen someone run as fast as I ran. I ran so fast I kicked myself. So it was crazy. So snakes to me can be danger. I mean, it's definitely a warning. It can be danger. But if I wanted to think about it in a positive light, I could think of it as shedding my skin. So where in my life would I be looking to shed something that no longer serves me? So, all right. What does a snake mean to you? Now, the next card is the coffin. We have Dreaming Way Lenormand, and we have the more traditional blue owl. That one's really ominous. So immediately what comes to mind is death. So of course, yes, it can be death. I'm just going to put that one in, calling a spade a spade. But it can also be a painful ending. That would be a job loss. That would be a relationship ending. That would be anything that comes to an end that's painful. So I'm going to say painful ending. So this came up for me in a reading one time in a group setting related, and the one that was before it was a tower, and I've already told you tower can be related to work. And this woman who was reading for me said, "Oh, your job, you're going to quit your job." And I'm like, "I'm not going to quit my job." 3 days later, I quit my job. So this stuff, these cards don't lie. It's all about learning how to interpret them. Okay, so the next card, this is a bouquet. It's really, really pretty on the Dreaming Way. And then, but it looks more like a bouquet on the blue owl. So you also, I want to point out, you can see on the blue owl, there are face cards from like a regular deck of cards. I don't get into reading those, but there's a whole philosophy about that. And I will look at that later in another video, and we'll talk about that. So bouquet. So let's say I showed up at your door and I gave you a bouquet of flowers. What would that mean to you? It's a gift. Of course, I wrote gift in here instead of bouquet, so let me change that. So a bouquet is a gift. It's a very, very positive gift. In fact, it is one of the most positive cards in the deck. So let's say, I'm going to tell you, just like reading two cards together. Let's say you got the coffin, and then behind it, the next card you got was the bouquet. This would be the gift of something ending for you. So that's how you read cards together. So you never just take them one at a time. So the bouquet is a gift. All right, the next card is the side. So here it is, Dreaming Way. And then the more traditional blue owl. So what do you do with the side? You cut down the wheat, you harvest. It's very sharp. You have to swing it fast in order to cut through the wheat. So the scythe could mean a couple of things right off the top of my head. It could mean sharp. It could mean cutting, so maybe surgery. It could mean fast. So I'm going to write all of those things in here. So we have fast, sharp, surgery, and let's see, surgery, and clearing away what no longer serves you. So there's a lot of different ones. This is definitely a motion action card. So what does it mean for you? All right, the next is the whip. So we have our Dreaming Way Lenormand, and we have the more traditional. So what does a whip mean to you? So this is, to me, another action card. So it's usually a repetitive motion. You don't just whip once. So repetition would be one of the first ones. Then the second one is usually arguments. It's hard to see that with the whips, but you wouldn't be whipping someone if you didn't have an issue with them. So I'm going to say arguments. I don't know how to spell. Arguments. Now, what else would this mean? If you had a very adventurous mind, what would you also use whips for? It could be dominatrix. So I rarely would read this in a reading unless other cards were supporting it, but it could be kinky sex. So there you go. All right, birds. This is one of my faves. So birds, Dreaming Way, blue owl. So it's two birds on a branch, and they look like they're talking. So the one birds are owls, which usually mean wisdom, and then the other ones are little wrens. So this is a card that speaks to me with life coaching. So it's two people talking. So that's what I normally say. It's two people talking. But it can also be gossip. But it's definitely, and it can also be a couple because it's two people talking. So you have to look again at the cards that are around it to see what it's speaking to. Aha, speaking. All right, so what do two birds mean to you? Now the next is a child card. So cute little gal, more traditional, youngin', it's hard to see. So this could easily mean child, just as it says, but it could also mean something that's small. Or if you think of a little child as a baby, you could think of something that's new. So what would a child mean for you? All right, the next one is the fox. So we have the fox for Dreaming Way. It looks like she's wearing a fox stole. My grandma had one of those. They're kind of creepy. And then this one is a more traditional fox. So what does a fox mean to you? I think of a fox sneaking into the hen house to steal eggs. So I would say sneaky, or it could be being mischievous. I'm not going to try to type that. So just keep that word in mind, mischievous. But when you read the book, The Essential Lenormand, it also talks about the fox being related to work. So, so the fox, when the fox is stealing eggs out of the hen house, all they're doing is being resourceful to find food for their family. So he's very loyal to his family, and he's a survivor. So it's the work employment card. It's the everyday job from 9 to 5 employment, working in an office. So if when you're reading for someone and you're going to read about their job, you can pick this card as their work card, especially if it's a small home business. All right, so sneaky, and I'm going to say work. And that the work, it's harder to see that message in that card. That's why I pulled the book up. All right, the next card is the bear. So what do you think of when you see a bear. You've always heard about, don't get between a mother bear and her cubs because she'll fight you to the death. So protective, the bear is protective. The bear is protective. The bear is also about financial security. So that is also about, planning for your family. So I'm going to put finances. But it's also, think about a bear rooting for nuts and berries. So it's also about diet. Those are the three main words. And also, I always think of courage. But again, my symbols doesn't necessarily mean it's your symbols. So what is your spirit vocabulary for the bear? The next card is stars. So we've got the beautiful dreaming way, and we have the more traditional stars from the blue owl. So when I think of stars, I think of, when I wish upon a star. So immediately I think of my dreams. So I think of my hopes and dreams. So I'm wishing upon that star. But now think back even further to ancient times. What were stars used for? Well, they were used to guide mariners on the boats. So it's your North Star or your GPS for life purpose. So following your stars to your hopes and dreams. It also can signify something just as simple as nighttime. So what does it mean for you? All right, the next one is the stork. So we've got our Dreaming Way Lenormand, and then we have the more traditional storks from the blue owl. So in the Dreaming Way, the stork is just standing there. But in this one, you can see there's a stork that's taking flight. So the first thing this could mean is obviously the birth of a child. I'm just going to put birth though, because this could also be the birth of a business, the birth of an idea. It depends on what's laying around it in your reading. So birth is one. The other big thing that comes with stork is transition or transformation. Those are the big words that go with stork. All right, the next one is the dog. So what do you think of when you think of the dog, besides doggy breath? They're playful. They're unshakably loyal. They are your loyal friend. So it could be your best friend, someone who has your back, someone you can trust. So it's a loyal friend. The next card is the Tower. Now, if you read tarot cards, the Tower is generally not a good one, but it's not a bad card in Lenormand. So this is a more traditional tower. So damsel in distress up in the tower. So what would that be? So she is isolated. It's also about, it's very tall. So let's say it had 20 floors. So it's a multi-level business. So what are some multi-level businesses? Well, the government, maybe medical, oops, maybe insurance. It's any multi-level business that you just, don't want to be involved in. So you could use this card if you're reading for someone about their job and they work for a large company. So if this is related to a person, it could be the CEO, but it's somebody who is pretty high up in the company. All right, your next card is the garden. So this is really pretty in Dreaming Way. And then it's more traditional in the Blue Owl. So gardening, of course, can mean just simply mean being outdoors. But generally, well, what it means to me, so be different for you. Think of a garden party. So there's people in the garden. So who are these people? They are your people. Somehow you're connected to them. So this could be your tribe, whether that means schoolmates, your sorority, your fraternity, societies that you belong to. This could also be online, so social media. And this is also, so think about talking, you know, at this party, this is networking. So anywhere that you would do networking. So this is about outdoors, your tribe, social media, and networking. So what does the garden mean to you? Again, it could be something as simple as you love to plant flowers. So let's say that are tomatoes. So what does it mean to you to be growing things in your garden? And that would be a word that you would put in for your symbol. All right, the next is the mountain. It's much more ominous in the traditional Blue Owl. The snow-covered mountain looks like Mount Rainier than it is on the Dreaming Way. So what does a mountain mean to you? Let's say you're riding a bike and a mountain comes up. That means a lot more work. It means it's an uphill climb. It's going to be harder to do. It's going to take you longer to do. So I'm going to say obstacles. Obstacles. I'm going to say it, but I'm not going to be able to type it. Obstacles. And it's also about delays because it's going to take longer. But the thing to remember is they're not insurmountable. They are in your way, but you can get around them. So the mountain is about obstacles and delays. All right, your next card is choices or paths. It's kind of hard to see. This looks more like a maze. This one here looks like a maze. The traditional Blue Owl, it's actually like pathways in the park that come up to a divide. So the path is splitting, giving you options to choose. You can go right, you can go left or straight or whatever. So this is about choices. I'm going to put in choices. One card calls it choices and the other card calls it paths. So what would choices mean? So if you are doing a reading for someone about work, that means they have some choices to make it work. If it comes up in a relationship, I would ask, is a significant other seeing somebody else? Do they have choices? And again, it all depends on the cards that come up. But anyway, it's all about choices. All right, mice. So they're really cute in the Dreaming Way Lenormand, and they're not so cute here. If you can see them, they're looking pretty devious. So what's the first thing you think of when you think of a mouse? It's just icky. So most people would feel a bit fearful. But what does a mouse do? If they get into the grain silo, they start eating away at the grain. So, or if they're in your house, they might be eating away at food in the cabinets. So it's all about diminishing. So mice can mean diminish. So if I saw a mouse in my house, I'd be really stressed out. So mice also signify stress. So those are the two that speak to me. All right. The heart. Beautiful. A little more traditional, kind of like a tattoo a sailor might get. So heart, of course, means love. What else would it mean for you? I just think of it as, it doesn't have to be romantic love. It could be a heart-centered connection. Like loving what you do for a living or loving where you live. All right, the next one is the ring. Now this is kind of interesting because there's all kinds of stuff on top of the ring. Here's the more traditional blue owl. It's, you know, a ring. So what do you think of when you think of a ring? So engagement. So what is engagement? Engagement is a commitment. It could also mean it's a circle. What comes around goes around. But mostly to me, it means commitment. Then we have the book. This is a little different. Okay, so this one you can see there's a door on the side that's open. Here the book is laying down flat. All right, so a book could be knowledge. A book could be school or education. But the interesting thing when you read Rana George's book, and she talks about the book is closed, or in this case, you can't see what's inside the book. So it's secret knowledge. It's knowledge that you don't know. So secret knowledge. Also, I think it can refer to being a project. I don't see that as much. It doesn't come up for me, but secret knowledge usually comes up for me. So what is it? Like if I'm asking a question, what do I need to know about something? And I get the book, it means I'm not supposed to know. The knowledge is not available. All righty. The next one is the letter. So pretty simple here with Dreaming Way, and then a little bit more traditional. All right, so a letter is about writing. So it's written communication. Now, if this comes up in a reading, this does not necessarily mean that you're going to get a letter in the mail. It's anything that could be written. It could be a text message. It could be an email. It could be a written diagnosis from a doctor. It could be a report card. It could be legal documents. It's anything that is written down. So when you're doing the reading, what is around the card? So let's say the tower, where we said was multi-level, and that could be government or insurance or medical. So it could be any kind of documents that you might get in relation to that. So look at what is around it. So, but written communication. All right, the man, this is pretty simple. It's a man. More traditional decks, again, some decks have more than one. They might have a young man, they might have an old man. So this is simply somebody who is significant in the reader's life, who you're reading for. And the same thing for the woman, someone who is significant in your reader's or sitter's life. Then we move on to the lily. So here's the old-fashioned one with the blue owl, and then of course the newer one. So lilies for me can mean peace, and I always say tranquility as well. So peace and tranquility. So the other thing that I know this represents just from years of doing this could be a mature person, usually a man, and that would be because on this card there is a king. So mature man. But the lily also represents a time period. And again, you'd have to read this. This does not jump right off the card, but it's a longer time. So like if you were looking at finances and you're talking about your 401k, it takes, like your 401k, it takes a while for it to mature. So that's the lily. Now we have the sun. This is one of my favorite cards. Pretty, pretty, pretty. It's the traditional sun. So what do you think of when you think of sunshine? Sunshine makes you happy. Light shining on things is success, growth. So the sun, for me, it's a happy card, and it's about success. So when I'm asking a question about something that I want to do and I get the sun card, I know that my endeavor is going to turn out well. So success. Now we have the moon. This is really a cute card, the little bunny. And here's the more traditional moon. So the moon being out immediately, if you're looking at timing, would be evening. So moon is also tied to cycles. The moon is tied to emotion. And the moon is tied to psychic abilities and intuition. Okay, I cannot spell. So, and this also romance, you know, kissing me under the light of the moon. So that's a cool card. All right, so the next one is the key. What does a key mean to you? We're almost done with this too. So just a regular key and then an old-fashioned key. So what does a key do? It unlocks a door. So unlocking the door lets you in. So if you're locked out and you unlock the door, that's a solution to your problem. So the key is your solution. Solution to whatever it is that you're seeking. So let's say you got the key and the lily. Now the lily we know is peace and tranquility. So the key to your peace and tranquility would be, and then there would usually be a third card. So that's how we read them to tell a story. So now we get fish. What do you think about when you think of fish? Water, food, sustenance. But think of the story. Now this is from the Bible, or the terminology, plenty of fish in the sea. But in the Bible, where you know, Jesus takes one fish in the loaf and makes plenty. So it's about abundance. There's plenty of fish in the sea, abundance. So this could be related to finances. It's also about resources. So fish are a resource for us. All right, the next one, I wrote fish. This is the anchor. So what do you think of when you think of an anchor? So you're dropping your anchor to secure your ship, sailing into port, into calm waters to drop your anchor. So for me, an anchor is security. So, you know, being in that safe harbor. All right, I have to take that one out. Now we have the cross. We have the cross. So you might think of the cross as being spiritual, but when you think about it being spiritual, I want you to picture, you know, someone hanging on the cross, or Jesus walking, carrying that cross. So carrying their burden. So a cross is about burdens. It can also be about spirituality, but generally it's about burdens. So that is each card with one word. And that might have felt a bit tedious, but without going through this exercise and coming up with your spirit word, um, this really just lays the foundation for you to be able to read. So when we read cards, they're read in pairs. Combining cards help us to blend the story of the cards that create a prediction and tell the story or answers the question asked. The symbols flow together to give clarity about the past and give a glimpse of the future. And so the next video is going to help you build your 2-card combinations, because you can't start reading the cards until you're able to put the combinations together that start you on the path to telling a story. So just as a little preview, we have the writer, and we said writer was a messenger. So, so if we got a second card, and that second card was paths or choices. So how would we read these 2 cards together? We would read it about a message coming about options, a message about your choices. So that's how you put 2 cards together. So that's just a little preview. So the next one, we're going to do the combinations, and I want you to do your own combinations, but I will be making available, when that video comes out, a PDF of my combinations that I have put together. So I want to stop the sharing and go back to just talking. Well, I don't know how to do that. All right, so I really appreciate you taking the time to go through all of this with me today. If you should have any questions, you can reach me at sue@piedpiperofpurpose.com. Be more than happy to help you answer any questions about what's going on and how I can help you. All right, my dears, thank you so much. Talk to you soon.